You remember what the environment was like in Washington? I do. When people were hauled up in front of Congress, and members of Congress were asking questions about how come you didn't know this, that, or the other, and then we start putting, policy in place, legal policy in place to connect the dots, and all of a sudden people were saying, how come you're connecting the dots? And so, Mike, I've heard all that. I've heard all that. My view is that most people around the world, they respect America. And some of them doesn't like me. I understand that. Some of the writers and the, opiners and all that, that's fine. That's part of the deal. But I'm more concerned about the country and how people view the United States of America. They view us as strong, compassionate people who care deeply about the universality of freedom. Roger.
Thank you. Mr. President, you spoke a moment ago about using taxpayers' money for the TARP program.
Yes, I did.
The first $350 billion is out the door. It's been spent. Are you satisfied that it's been spent wisely? And for the second $350 that's under consideration, are you supportive of Congress putting some restrictions on it?
I'm supportive of the President-elect working out a plan with Congress that best suits him. And Congress, that's what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to go up there and he's going to have to make his case as to why the 350 is necessary. And he knows that. This is nothing new. And in terms of the first 350, I am pleased with this aspect of the expenditure, and that is that the financial markets are beginning to thaw. And the fall, I was concerned that the credit freeze would cause us to be headed toward a depression greater than the Great Depression. That's what I was told if we didn't move. And so therefore we have moved, aggressively. And by the way, it just wasn't with the TARP. If you think about AIG, Fannie and Freddie, a lot of the decisions that were made in this administration are very aggressive decisions, all aiming at preventing the financial system from cratering.
Mr. President, you spoke of the moment that the responsibility of the office would hit Barack Obama. The world's a far different place than it was when it hit you. When do you think he's going to feel the full impact? And what, if anything, have you and the other presidents shared with him about the effects of the sometimes isolation, the so-called bubble of the office?
That's a great question. He will feel the effects the minute he walks in the Oval Office. At least that's what I felt. I don't know when he's going to. He may feel it the minute he gets sworn in. And the minute I got sworn in, I started thinking about the speech. And so, but he's a better speech maker than me, so he'll be able to, I don't know how he's going to feel. All I know is he's going to feel it. There will be a moment when he feels it. I have never felt isolated, and I don't think he will. One reason he won't feel isolated is because he's got a fabulous family, and he cares a lot about his family. That's evident from my discussions with him. He's a 45-second commute away from a great wife and two little girls that love him dearly. I believe the phrase "burdens of the office" is overstated. Yeah, it's kind of like, why me? Oh, the burdens, what? Why did the financial collapse have to happen on my watch? It's just pathetic, isn't it? Self-pity. And I don't believe President-elect Obama will be full of self-pity. He will find, the people that don't like you, the critics, they're pretty predictable. Sometimes the biggest disappointments will come from your so-called friends. And there will be disappointments, I promise you. He'll be disappointed. On the other hand, the job is so exciting and so profound that the disappointments will be clearly, a minor irritant compared to the...
Never the loneliest office in the world?
No, not for me. We had people... I had a fabulous team around me of highly dedicated, smart, capable people, and we had fun. I tell people that, some days happy, some days not so happy. Every day has been joyous. And people, they say, I just don't believe it to be the case. Well, it is the case. Even in the darkest moments of Iraq, You know, there was, you know, every day when I was reading the reports about soldiers losing their lives, and there's no question there was a lot of emotion, but also there was times where we could be lighthearted and support each other. And, you know, I built a team of really capable people who were there not to serve me or there to serve the Republicans. They were there to serve the country. And President-elect Obama will find, you know, as he makes these tough calls and tough decisions, that he'll be supported by a lot of really good people that care about the country as well. John.
You've talked a lot about your concerns over the rise of protectionism in the current economic environment. What do you think the future holds for that? Do you think the trend is a good one or a bad one?
I hope the trend is bad against protectionism. A disappointment, not a mistake, but a disappointment, was not getting the 3 trade bills out of Congress on Colombia, Panama, and South Korea. That was a disappointment. I actually thought we had a shot at one time, and then I was disappointed that they didn't move out of the House. And I am concerned about protectionism. In tough economic times, the temptation is to say, well, let's just throw up barriers and, you know, protect our own and not compete. That was the sentiment, by the way, that was in place during decent economic times. After all, we got CAFTA out of the Congress by 1 vote. And it would be a huge mistake if we become a protectionist nation. And you know, maybe that might be a good thing for the Bush Center to do at SMU, is to remind people about the benefits of free and fair trade. Benefits for our own workers, benefits for workers overseas, and benefits when it comes to promoting development and helping lift people out of poverty, and particularly third world countries. The best way to enhance economic growth in a third world country and to give people a chance to realize, you know, a better future is through trade. It's been proven. It's a fact, and I'm hopeful that the country doesn't slip into protectionist policy. April. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah. You were sound asleep back there, so I decided.
No, I wasn't. There was a whole clear row before me. I thought you were going to go there, but either way, thanks for the surprise. Mr. President, on New Orleans, you basically talked about a moment ago about the photo opportunity, but let's talk about what you could have done to change the situation for the city of New Orleans to be further along in reconstruction than where it is now. And also, when you came or began to run for the Oval Office about 9 years ago or so, the Jamesburg dragging death was residue on your campaign. And now, at this time, 2009, we have the first black president. Could you tell us what you have seen on the issues of race as you see it from the
Sure, thanks. First of all, we did get the $121 billion, more or less, dollars passed, and there is now being spent. Secondly, the school system is improving dramatically. Thirdly, people are beginning to move back into homes. This storm was a devastating storm, April, that required a lot of energy, a lot of focus, and a lot of resources to get New Orleans up and running. And has the reconstruction been perfect? No. Have things happened fairly quickly? Absolutely. And is there more to be done? You bet there is.
What more needs to be done?
Well, more people need to get in their houses. More people need to, you know, have their own home there. But the systems are in place to continue the reconstruction of New Orleans. You know, people said, but the federal response was slow. Don't tell me the federal response was slow when there was 30,000 people pulled off roofs right after the storm passed. You know, I remember going to see those helicopter drivers, Coast Guard drivers, to thank them for their courageous efforts to rescue people off roofs. 30,000 people were pulled off roofs right after the storm moved through. It's a pretty quick response. Could things have been done better? Absolutely. absolutely. But when I hear people say the federal response was slow,